United's shutout against City saw another frustrating day in front of goal when it comes to finishing, but Amorim will be happy with one thing, for sure. Let's talk about that game and some key takeaways, including a discussion about Gary Neville following his comments after the game and Amorim's reply, which was spot on. So another game goes by, another game where, let's be totally honest, United probably should have won it. United could have won it if we could finish. We had the better chances against City. We had the better chances. We had tons of chances against Forest. And we didn't get a win in either game. I'm going to run through Amorim's comments, Neville's comments. We'll speak about Yoro, Garnacho, Højlund. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. But there's one man I'm speaking about at the start of this video, and that is, of course, Bruno Fernandes. The amount of times where we've had this conversation this season, Bruno really is just on a different level compared to the teammates around him. It's quite painful, really. I've said it on Match Reaction, but you want Bruno to be the person shooting, the person creating, the person starting the build-up. You need three Brunos in different positions. We need a team of Brunos. We need players as good as Bruno in their respective positions. How we do that in a summer where we have to try and play with tight purse strings, I don't really know. But look how mad this stat is, right? How awful United have been this season. And nobody has created more goal-scoring opportunities than Bruno. It's nuts. It really is. And watching him in that game there, it's just so abundantly obvious how much better he is than the rest of that team. It's really bad. Anyway, I want to run through Amorim's comments on Neville. Now, if you missed the quote, this is what Amorim said in response to Gary Neville.
I understand everything. I understand that Gary Neville is critical about everything, so I understand that part.
First of all, it's funny. Second of all, Amorim was responding to Gary effectively just calling out the lack of intensity in the derby, about where Manchester United are, about Manchester United's qualities, etc., etc. Kind of everything that you could pick out of that game. Like, you know the way that I look at this, man. If you want to, you can be so hypercritical of United in every single regard. If you just in any situation, if you can always find an in to a negative if you want to lead with that. I'm not saying Neville does that on purpose, but that's just how punditry is these days. The exaggerations, and it's such a frustration of mine, and everything that I do, sometimes I get swept up in it. I'm not perfect, I know that. But middle-of-the-road opinions do not carry through to headlines, do not keep you your job, do not get you more punditry work. They just don't. They don't get the eyeballs that are normal. Maybe a level-headed opinion does. That game against City was nowhere near the intensity that any of us want, nor Amorim. I just like that Amorim went back with a little bit of needle, and he's completely right, by the way. I just think that Neville, a bit like Roy Keane, is overly critical, sometimes performatively. That's what I feel. You might disagree with that. But speaking about United's lack of goal scoring, this has to be a conversation. But the issue is, right, this is going to be United until the summer, right? Two main culprits in this team so far this season. It's Garnacho and Højlund, all right? And in that game again, Garnacho had what? One clear-cut chance when the cross came over and he just completely misjudged his header. There were a couple of other opportunities, certainly more than one opportunity, where if Garnacho had made the better decision, it would have turned into a goal-scoring chance. And then you had Højlund, who I don't actually think had a shot in that game. Could his movement have been better? Yes. Could there have been more balls into him? Yes. But the thing that he got wrong in that game was being the hold-up number 9. Every time the ball came up to him and we just needed him to hold possession for 1 or 2 seconds and to feed a teammate, the ball bounced off him. He just could not do it. And United's lack of goal scoring is not going to be resolved until the summer. This is us until the summer, and that's been the case for a good while now. At the very least, in these last couple of games against Forest and against City, I think what we have started to see, is United being overall a slightly better build-up shape. And we're talking marginal improvements. We're not saying that this is where United need to go. Oh, the standards have dropped through the floor. You can point out that it does feel like there are minor improvements, whilst also saying at the exact same time, it's just dog awful how bad we are in front of goal. And it's painful. If we do it against Lyon, hey, we can't, man. We have to find the back of the net against Lyon. But one thing I am definitely taking out of this, and again, you can say this is clutching at straws if you want to, But I want to speak about Amorim's ability to get shutouts when he wants to. Now, you can use that example against it. Look, we played against City in a particular way, 5-4-1, and we shut them out. They spent 180 million in January, and they look no better. So it's funny how there's not really too much conversation about that after the game. Just about United's lack of quality. Okie dokie. But in that game, Amorim wanted United to shut City out, and we did. And we had the better chance in the first half. So it wasn't as if we were doing that and having none of the ball. If you're looking away at the Etihad early this season, we did the exact same thing. And we won it late on. And then if you look at how United played against Liverpool at Anfield early this season, we had a really good shape overall as a team defensively. And we scored 2 goals. Obviously, we didn't get the result. And then you look at the game against Arteta and Arsenal at the Emirates when we went down to 10 men. This is going to be an asset of this team next year. Right now, you're just looking at it going, United, they're so defensive, blah, blah, blah. That's all they've got. Because right now, we're just not good enough at dominating games. But when next season comes and United should be better going forward with the ball, actually having the ability to play like this, maybe when you're protecting a lead or maybe when you go into games that you need to have more of a shutout, what we've seen on more than one occasion this season is that Amorim is capable of setting his team up to do that, and they do it properly. And I think that will be more of an asset next season than it would ever be seen as this season. Because right now, it's just United being too defensive. But anyway, I want to finish this by speaking about a defender, and Lenny Yoro. Because Lenny, of course, he missed the first 3 months with injury. It feels to me like he is just, okay, right, I'm settling in, I'm becoming more confident, and something I'm really seeing from him in his last few games is ball carrying. Is bringing that ball forward 10 yards. Is actually him looking further than the 5-yard pass, the safe pass. I'll be the one to look for that diagonal. There was one particular pass he played to Bruno. I think it was in the first half. Just clipped it 15 yards over the press, into midfield, and then an attack started. Our defenders need to make more of those passes. And so does Onana, by the way. Always pisses me off how we don't make enough of those. But Yoro is looking really far more confident, more progressive with the ball, in terms of his passing, but also in terms of bringing it out from defence. And if you look ahead to next season and you think about our defenders, you've got Yoro, Martinez should come back in, but we don't really know about that. Aiden Heaven looking a lot more confident. Well, not a lot more confident, but just a lot more natural at progressing the ball. Not something all of our defenders have. I quite enjoy watching that. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. Was it frustrating? Yes, but it was a game that United should have won. Again, like Forest. If we had taken our chances, we would have beaten Forest, we would have beaten City. 2 very different conversations we would have had after those games. But going against Lyon, we've got to find the back of the net. Simply, we have to score. You can let me know what you think about the City game and what you think about Lyon coming up.